This is not failure, not engineering weakness, not lack of intelligence. Richard Feynman explained something deeper. The universe has limits. Not political limits, not technological limits, physical limits. Humans imagine freely. We imagine expansion outward. We imagine walking anywhere, any planet, any distance, any environment. But physics disagrees. Not emotionally, mathematically. Feynman emphasized this distinction. Nature does not negotiate. Consider something simple. You see a bird. It flies across sky. You observe its motion. You know its position. You predict its direction. You understand its path. But you cannot reach it. Not because ignorance, because limitation exists. Your body has boundaries. Your reach has limits. Your strength has constraints. Mars is that bird. Visible clearly, observable precisely, predictable mathematically. We know its orbit. We know its motion. We know its future position. Decades in advance. This knowledge is precise. This knowledge is reliable. This knowledge is complete. Yet humans remain here. Feynman explained why. The problem is survival, not reaching alone, but existing there. Start with breathing. Right now, effortlessly. Without thinking consciously. Without managing anything. Air enters naturally. Air leaves naturally. Oxygen enters blood. Cells use oxygen. Energy is produced continuously. Life continues automatically. Earth provides everything. Free atmosphere exists. Stable pressure exists. Perfect chemical balance exists. You carry nothing. Mars changes everything. Atmosphere almost absent. Pressure nearly zero. Breathing becomes impossible. Air must be carried. Air must be recycled. Air must be protected. Every breath engineered. Even small failure, tiny system leak, immediate fatal consequence. Physics enforces reality. Feynman emphasized unforgiving truth. Nature allows no exceptions. Now consider gravity. On Earth, gravity constant. Gravity familiar always. Gravity shapes biology. Bones remain strong. Muscles remain functional. Body remains stable. Gravity maintains structure. Mars gravity weaker. Much weaker significantly. Less biological stimulation. Initially feels easier. Movement feels lighter. Weight feels reduced. But adaptation begins. Bones lose density. Muscles lose strength. Biological balance shifts. This process continuous. This process unavoidable. This process measurable. Feynman emphasized dependence. Biology depends physics. Environment defines survival. Now radiation problem. Space-filled radiation. High-energy particles everywhere. Invisible but dangerous. Originating from sun. Originating from cosmos. Traveling continuously. Earth protects life. Atmosphere absorbs particles. Magnetic field deflects radiation. Surface remains safe. Mars lacks protection. Thin atmosphere exists. Magnetic field absent. Radiation reaches surface. Cells absorb damage. DNA becomes altered. Mutations begin forming. Cancer risk increases. Nervous system affected. Long-term consequences emerge. Shielding becomes necessary. But shielding has cost. Shielding adds mass. Mass increases energy requirements. Energy requires fuel. Fuel adds mass again. This loop unavoidable. This loop mathematical. This loop fundamental. Feynman highlighted scaling problem. Every solution creates cost. Add protection mass. Requires additional fuel. Fuel increases total mass. Mass increases energy. Physics preserves balance. Nothing comes freely. Now escaping Earth. Earth gravity strong. Escape requires speed. Extremely high speed. 11 kilometers second. Below this speed, object returns Earth. Gravity pulls back. Above this speed, escape becomes possible, freedom achieved. But reaching speed difficult. Energy requirement enormous. Fuel requirement massive. Engineering becomes extreme. Human missions heavier. Air required continuously. Water required constantly. Food required always. Radiation shielding required. Life support required. Safety redundancy required. Each addition increases mass. Mass increases fuel demand. Fuel increases total mass. Cycle continues endlessly. Feynman emphasized inevitability. Physics does not forgive inefficiency. Now distance problem. Mars extremely distant. Hundreds millions kilometers away. Travel requires months. 6 months minimum. Crew isolated completely. Inside artificial environment. Dependent on systems. Earth unreachable immediately. Help unavailable instantly. Emergency becomes dangerous. Communication delayed significantly. Light travels fastest. Yet delay exists. Up to 20 minutes. One direction only. Conversation becomes fragmented. Guidance becomes delayed. Isolation becomes real. Physics defines communication limit. Feynman emphasized constants. Universal constants exist, unchanging everywhere always. Now motion itself. Galileo discovered inertia. Objects maintain motion naturally. Unless force applied. Newton expanded insight. Unified physical laws. Earth and space identical. Planets follow equations. Objects follow equations. Everything predictable mathematically. Feynman admired this unity. Same laws enable rockets. Same laws limit humans. Trajectory calculation easy. Survival calculation difficult. Robots succeed there. Machines ignore breathing. Machines ignore radiation. Machines ignore biology. Humans cannot ignore biology. Evolution optimized Earth, not optimized Mars. Feynman emphasized misalignment between biology and environment. Mars lies outside envelope. Human survivability envelope. Engineering attempts compensation, but never elimination. Earth remains perfect system. Atmosphere balanced perfectly. Gravity balanced perfectly. Protection balanced perfectly. Mars lacks balance. Fundamental difference exists. Feynman emphasized honesty. Understanding requires acceptance. Mars reachable physically, but survivable conditionally. Not naturally survivable. Physics defines boundary, not opinion, not philosophy, mathematical reality. Understanding this changes perspective. Mars not impossible destination. Mars is conditional destination. Conditional on survival systems. Conditional on energy systems. Conditional on perfect engineering. Feynman emphasized deeper lesson. The universe has structure. Structure defines possibility. Structure defines limitation. Mars reveals this clearly. Not emotionally. Mathematically. Everything led here to a deeper realization. He said something profound. Something difficult accepting. He said reality isn't solid. Not at fundamental level. What seems permanent is constantly changing. What seems stable is dynamic underneath. He said matter isn't solid. Not truly solid structure. Atoms contain empty space. Mostly empty space. Particles exist inside, but rarely occupy positions. They exist as probabilities, not fixed objects. He said solidity emerges from invisible interactions, not from actual contact. This changes everything. He said when touching something, nothing actually touches. Only forces interact there. Invisible interactions happening. Creating illusion of contact. He said human senses translate interactions into feeling, not direct reality itself. This means perception filters truth. He said human experience is simplified interpretation, not raw reality itself. Reality remains deeper, beyond sensory translation. He said, this explains confusion. Why reality feels intuitive, but behaves differently underneath. He said nature operates on deeper mathematical structure. Structure humans never evolve sensing, But equations reveal it. He trusted equations completely, because equations predict outcomes with perfect accuracy. He said prediction proves understanding, not explanation comfort. Comfort doesn't matter. Only correctness matters. He said electrons move strangely, not along single path, but every possible path. All paths contribute together, creating final probability. He said this sounds impossible, but experiments confirm it, repeated countless times. Without any exception, he said reality calculates outcomes through probability interference, not deterministic certainty. This removes predictability illusion. At fundamental level, he said uncertainty remains permanent, not temporary ignorance, but built-in property of physical reality itself. He said this changes philosophy, changes human self-understanding, changes view of existence. He said certainty disappears. At deepest levels, only probabilities remain there. He said nature doesn't decide until interaction happens. Interaction creates outcomes. Before interaction exists, only possibilities exist. He said this defines reality. Reality emerges through interaction, not pre-existing fixed state. This idea disturbed many, because certainty feels safer. But nature doesn't prioritize comfort. Nature prioritizes consistency. Consistency of mathematical laws. He said mathematics describes nature more faithfully than intuition, even when unbelievable. He said disbelief doesn't matter. Reality continues unchanged, regardless of human acceptance. He said truth isn't democratic. Truth doesn't require agreement, only experimental confirmation. He said experiments remain final authority, not belief or opinion, not tradition or reputation, only measurable evidence. He said this protects science from human bias, from human assumption, from human error. He said science remains self-correcting. Errors eventually disappear. Truth eventually remains. Because experiments reveal inconsistencies. False ideas collapse eventually. True ideas survive testing. He said this process continues across generations continuously, each generation discovering deeper truth. He said knowledge expands outward, without final endpoint. No ultimate completion exists, only endless discovery. He said this defines universe. Infinite depth of structure, infinite layers of reality, waiting discovery patiently. He said humans participate in uncovering those layers through curiosity and questioning. He said curiosity unlocks reality. Without curiosity, nothing changes. Ignorance remains permanent. He said curiosity drives progress. Progress drives understanding. Understanding transforms perception. He said perception evolves continuously, with new discoveries emerging. Each discovery changing perspective, changing view of existence. He said universe remains mysterious, even after understanding increases, because deeper levels remain hidden, always beyond current reach. He said mystery isn't weakness. Mystery represents opportunity. Opportunity for deeper discovery. He said accepting mystery represents intellectual honesty, not intellectual failure. He said pretending certainty creates illusion of knowledge. Real knowledge accepts uncertainty. He said uncertainty remains honest. Certainty often becomes illusion. He said intellectual humility matters more than false confidence, because confidence doesn't guarantee truth. Only evidence guarantees truth. He said reality remains independent, independent of human perception, independent of human belief. Reality exists objectively, whether observed or ignored. He said humans discover reality, not create reality. Discovery reveals existing structure. Structure always present there, waiting observation patiently. He said understanding reality changes human perspective permanently. Nothing feels ordinary anymore. Everything feels deeper suddenly. He said ordinary experiences hide extraordinary mechanisms, invisible processes everywhere, operating continuously silently. He said universe never stops, never pauses or hesitates. Constant motion everywhere. Constant interaction everywhere. He said humans exist inside this continuous unfolding process, part of cosmic structure, not separate from it. He said realizing this changes human identity from observer to participant. Participant inside reality, not outside observing. He said this realization represents true understanding, understanding nature honestly, without illusion or assumption. He said reality remains stranger, stranger than imagination allows, yet completely consistent, completely lawful structure. He said beauty exists there, inside hidden structure, inside invisible order, waiting discovery always. He saw that beauty. He understood that truth, and he left something behind, not certainty, but a way seeing, a way questioning, a way understanding reality.